How can we use our Scratch knowledge to write Python code? Watch this video and find out. Here we've had a request. Can you show how to use the add item to list in Python? Because this is a Scratch block. We want to see how you can do it in Python code to increase list items. That's the request we received, and now we're going to show that. First of all, we're going to show the block in Scratch, and then we're going to show the code in Python. Let's start off with Scratch. When we use Scratch and a list in Scratch, we can click on variables and we've got make a list. So we can name our list, for example, a list. And now when we create our list, we can see it. Let's have a look at our list called a list, and when we want to add things to our list, we can add them. So for example, let's add 1 to our list, and 2 and 3. So we add them, and when we say our list, you can see it says 1, 2, 3. The main thing about what we've just seen is, although we've entered numbers, when we see it, it said 1, 2, 3 like a string. So that's important in Python. So in Scratch, when we add something to a list, it treats it the same as a word. Let's just see that in Scratch. Imagine if we have an operator such as plus, and we want to get these item from the list. So let's say item 1, 2, 3. So we start off with 1 in Scratch in our list, and the third item is 3, and we want to add 7 to that. Now if we put that in our block where we say, so we've got say item 3. So if we change item 3 to 5, for example, when we say item 3 add 7 now equals 12. So we can use whatever's in the list either as a number or as a string in Scratch. Now let's look at our Python. Here we can create a list called a list in Python, and then we can print it. At the moment it's empty. Now what happens if we want to add something to this list? We can use append. So we have dot append, we also have the brackets, and what we're going to append. Let's imagine we're going to start off with 1, and we can append, let's say we can append 2 and 3. So we can run that, and you can see now we have our list 1, 2, 3. What happens in our example before, we entered a string and we had 3 in our Scratch example. Let's make sure we use the same quotation mark. We can run that, and here we've got 1, 2, 3, which are numbers, and the word 3. We can see the difference of the string and the numbers. First element, remember we use 0 in Python, so the first element is number 1, and we could multiply that and we would get the answer 2, because 1 times 2 is 2. But if we were to change our number 1 to a string rather than an integer, a number, now let's look at the result. Instead of the integer 2, now we've got the string 11. So we've got the character 1 and then 1, 1. So if we multiplied it 7 times, we would have 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's what we get when we output. So that difference there, the number 1 or the string 1, we have to make sure we know what we're doing when we look at our input, when we append an item in our list. So we can just quickly see that. We can see a list. We've got the item in the 0 place. And what we're going to put in type, and it will tell us that the number 1 or the character 1 is not a number, it's actually a string. And if we put it back to a number, integer, then it will tell us it's an int. So append we can use to add to a list, very similar to add to a list in Scratch, but with Python we have to be careful between a number and a string. Also remember that the list starts at 0, not at 1. So that's called the index. Now you can see we actually did a series of videos showing how to use Scratch blocks in Python code. So we did quite a few videos, and one of them was about lists. So if you want to see more about lists in Scratch and then in Python, watch this video. So this was the video that we created before, specifically on lists. Okay, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and then you'll be notified about when we release new videos.